Before you book another crowded safari, let me show you the wild places almost no traveler has ever seen, and the creatures quietly thriving there. Asterisk, you grab your water bottle, tighten the straps on your backpack, and take a deep breath. Because today's journey isn't to the usual tourist-packed wildlife destinations. No Serengeti traffic jams. No crowds jostling for the same photo of a lion sleeping under a tree. No drones buzzing overhead, scaring everything with a pulse. No. We're heading somewhere different. These are the back-pocket secrets of the natural world. Wildlife areas where the silence is part of the charm, and the animals are still the ones running the show. Some are small sanctuaries hidden between mountain ridges. Some are giant ecosystems with barely a road cutting through. Some are places even the rangers will tell you people rarely come out here, but all of them share something powerful. They're beating the crowds and letting wildlife breathe. So let's start our countdown. Pack your boots, your curiosity, and maybe a signal flare, because some of these spots are far off the usual trail. Number Y. The Sierra de Bajaruco Cloud Forest. Dominican Republic. When people think of the Dominican Republic, they think beaches, resorts, coconuts, that Instagram shot with turquoise water in the background. What almost no one thinks about is that just a few hours inland lies one of the most unique wildlife habitats in the entire Caribbean, and hardly anyone goes. Welcome to the Sierra de Bajaruco Cloud Forest, a high-altitude sanctuary perched on the southwestern spine of the island, where the air thins out, the temperature drops, and the landscape transforms into something that feels more like the mountains of Central America than a tropical island. What it is, Bajaruco Cloud Forest is part of a trinational biosphere that touches Haiti and the Drive, forming a massive ecological corridor. But the Dominican side hides the real gem, a mysterious, mist-trapped plateau where the clouds skim the treetops. Like slow-moving animals, you step onto the trail and instantly feel it. That dampness in the air that smells like moss, bark, and the last rainfall. Everything glistens, everything breathes. Wildlife. You'll find this area is a birdwatcher's fever dream. But even if you've never picked up binoculars, you'll feel humbled by the diversity. Españolan solanodon, a rare nocturnal mammal that looks like a shrew built by a fantasy writer. Hispaniolan trogon, the island's most colorful and elusive bird. Ridgway's hawk, one of the rarest raptors in the world. Most visitors to the Dominican Republic will go their entire lives without ever hearing these names. You get to walk through their front yard. Why it's underrated first. The roads. You don't drive here. You survive the journey. Rock, dirt, potholes, and switchbacks that feel like they were designed as a test of faith. Most tourists never attempt it, and many locals avoid it unless absolutely necessary. Second, the remoteness. There are no resorts, no gift shops, barely any signage, just you, the fog, and the occasional ranger who appears from behind the trees like a forest spirit. Why it's beating the crowds? Because it is. Unapologetically not easy. And that's the whole point. Nature thrives in places where people don't, and this forest, sheltered under its cloak of mist, remains one of the Caribbean's most intact wildlife refuges precisely because almost nobody knows or tries to reach it. Number Y. Namkating National Protected Area. Laosif. The Sierra de Bajaruco Cloud Forest whispers. Then Namkating growls. You can feel the change in atmosphere the moment you step into this part of central Laos. The air thickens, the jungle presses in, and the rivers carve deep, impossible canyons that look like something out of an untouched primeval world. Namkating is wild, with a capital W. What it is, imagine a sprawling, protected area centered around the Namkating River so powerful that during the rainy season, it can turn calm forest paths into waterways. This region blends tropical rainforest with steep karst mountains, cliffs that jut upwards like ancient stone teeth, and valleys so deep that sunlight barely reaches the forest floor. And the wildlife here, it does not play around. The wildlife you'll find here's where Namkating gets interesting. It's one of the last strongholds for some of Southeast Asia's most threatened and least understood species. Northern yellow-cheeked gibbons, whose morning calls echo across the valley like eerie shimmering songs. Large antlered muntjac, an elusive deer species once thought nearly mythical. Laotian lungurs, extremely rare primates with dramatic white eyebrows and an almost human expression. Clouded leopards, the shadow ghosts of the Asian forests. And that's not even mentioning the hornbills, the sip, and the thousands, literally thousands, of insect species that have yet to receive proper scientific names. Why it's underrated. Laos isn't the first country people think of when planning wildlife trips. Thailand, sure. Vietnam, absolutely. Cambodia, increasingly. But Laos has this quiet, understated wildness that feels almost untouched by tourism. And Namkating is the perfect example. It's simply hard to reach, hard to traverse, and hard to study. And funny enough, that's exactly why it still thrives. Why it's beating the crowds. Namkating has no mass tourism infrastructure, no interpretive centers, no manicured paths. Even getting permission to enter the deeper zones often requires coordination with multiple agencies. Most travelers skip it for the comfort and convenience of Laos' more accessible sites. The result? A massive pocket of Southeast Asian biodiversity that still feels and functions like a true wilderness. #8 The Aberdares, Moorlands, Kenyan. Now hold on, Kenya. Underrated. How can a country with some of the world's most famous wildlife reserves possibly have a place that beats the crowds? Here's how. Everyone rushes to the Masai Mara. Everyone tries to catch the Great Migration. Everyone piles along the same game drive routes looking for lions and cheetahs. Meanwhile, a short drive north, the Aberdares sit quietly under a blanket of clouds, hiding one of Kenya's most extraordinary high-elevation ecosystems. What it is, the Aberdare Range is a long volcanic ridge, but its moorlands, the high-altitude, wind-swept plains above the forests, are the real secret. Imagine Scotland's highlands. Now, mix them with East African wildlife. Then elevate the whole landscape until it's literally brushing the sky. That's the Aberdare Moorlands. Tall tussock grasses sway in the wind. The sky feels endless, and the temperature is cool enough that you might want a jacket, something unheard of in most of Kenya. The wildlife, you'll find that animals here have adapted to an environment that's harsher, colder, and quieter than the savannas. Mountain bongos, Kenya's rarest antelope, with chestnut coats and white stripes that look almost hand-painted. Black serviles, a dark melanistic variant found almost exclusively in this high country. Giant forest hogs, the heavyweight bruisers of the African swamps. Endemic birds like the Aberdare cisticola found literally nowhere else. And yes, there are leopards. Only these leopards are shy, solitary, and often darker in color than their cousins in the lowlands. Why it's underrated? Because tourists come to Kenya expecting heat, lions, and golden savannas, not chilly moorlands filled with rare mountain wildlife. The Aberdares break the stereotype, and for most travelers, that's enough reason to overlook them. Plus, the elevation isn't gentle. Even walking here feels like you're training for a marathon at 3,000 meters. Why? It's beating the crowds, while the Masai Mara might see hundreds of jeeps in a single day. The Aberdare Moorlands often see none. Many visitors stick to the lower forested lodges, completely ignoring the high plateau. What survives as a result is a quiet, almost surreal ecosystem where the wind does most of the talking, and the animals still cross the moor without glancing over their shoulder for humans. You take a final look around, and something hits you. For all our maps and satellite images and travel blogs, the world still has places where nature calls the shots. Places where animals move without hesitation, where the wind carries stories older than our cities, and where the silence isn't empty, it's alive. These 10 underrated wildlife habitats may not appear in glossy travel brochures. They may not have luxury lodges, safari jeeps, or souvenir shops waiting at the exit, but maybe that's exactly why they matter. They remind us of what the wild used to be, and more importantly, what it can still become, if we choose to protect it. If this video sparked your sense of adventure, or opened your eyes to places you never knew existed, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who loves the outdoors as much as you do. This channel is all about exploring deeper, traveling smarter, and finding the hidden corners of the planet that most people overlook. And trust me, we're just getting started. So pack your curiosity, keep your boots ready, and I'll meet you on the next trail. Until then, stay wild.